on this section of our podcast is the heart to heart. Um, for today's interview, I'd like to introduce you to Bhupinder Sidhu, known as Sid, who is Partnership Manager at Wealthify. Sid, welcome to our podcast. How are you doing?
Good, thanks, Ed. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. It's been nice seeing you again. We met originally last year at one of the SimplyBiz events, and I found your proposition quite interesting. I've always had you in the back of my mind because obviously a lot of the work that we do with firms is helping them build centralized investment propositions and charging structures. So I always found you quite a bit of interest in the company that you work for. So yeah, tell us how's your day going so far? Going well?
Yeah, really well, really well. I think since the new year and obviously with consumer duty around the corner now, the activity levels have just it's massively mushroomed. And what I'm finding now is that I'm probably getting a lot more inbound inquiries and having to go out and work for this. So as financial advisors to understand what Wealthify do, realize that we're not a threat to them, we're not competing against them, we're actually a bolt-on solution. Then more of them are putting their hands up and saying, Sid, let's have a chat. And pretty much I'm really proud of this. My conversion rate when I talk to an advisor is like 100% because they're like, it's a no-brainer. What we're
Mm.
doing, they get it, works well. As a being a outcomes focused organization, it's good for clients, good for advisors, good for us. So it's a good place to be, Zed. So far 2023 is nice.
Very good, very good. Same
Yeah.
on this side. I think, we've been quite busy as well. And I think, you're right. Obviously, consumer duty has shook things up a bit, and firms are taking this opportunity to revisit a lot of the processes. So we'll get into, how consumer duty is affecting what you guys do. But if you start us off by telling us what is Wealthify for advisors that haven't heard of you or don't know much about you.
Sure, we'll do. So, I mean, ineffectively, we've got a simple mission, and it's making investing accessible to everyone. Founded in 2014, we launched in 2016, and we've grown, substantially but sustainably. I think it's important to note that it's been a sustained growth over the last 7 years. We're now sort of more than 100 plus people in the organization, helping hundreds of thousands of customers to really make their money work harder. And what we've done is it's like digital investment solutions. So we're combining tech and then putting that with investing in a customer focused manner. So
Mhm.
we're removing all the barriers that previously sort of stopped people from investing. We're making it accessible. It's affordable, so you can start investing with £1, and really understandable. So no jargon in what we do. We write for a sort of readership age of 12. And it's essentially going back to that mission statement. It's getting people who are traditionally savers to become sort of non-advised investors, and eventually, build their assets up to a level that they go and seek advice. And that's where I think we work sort of hand in hand with financial advisors and what they're doing, because they're at the top end, and we're massively improving the number of people that are coming at that entry level and then growing them through, and off they
Mhm.
go then to get advice.
Okay, sounds quite interesting actually, especially bringing that tech side of things, because I'm guessing that's how you can, afford to take on these clients with lower end values.
Absolutely. We're in we just, I like to think, Zed, that we're in this massive sort of technology revolution. It's like the industrial revolution was years ago. The world is changing quickly in front of our
Mhm.
eyes. Talk about COVID. So we had 10 years of digitization in 10 months. I think, NatWest were saying that. And so it is around bringing all that tech together and make it so you can automate stuff, you can do things at a lot sort of less cost, and therefore you can provide solutions to people that otherwise weren't economically viable, but they are in
Mhm.
today's world.
Okay, so that's a bit of a background into Wealthify. How does that fit in with the advisor? Where does the advisor link come into all of this?
Well, interestingly, Wealthify first started as a D2C proposition, phenomenally successful. So winning lots of awards. I think, best investment provider by British Bank. And a couple of years ago, we were like, well, actually, this is a service for advisors. I was brought in. So, I used to be a principal in an advice firm. I Started a firm in 2013. It was part of Intrinsic, which is now Quilter. Sold it in 2018. So in 5 years, and we went from a standing start to 125 million AUM. And what we did was, again, we worked at the lower end. We automated a lot of stuff, and it's exactly what Wealthify are doing, but using tech.
Hmm.
We use sort of in-house automation. So did that. I joined Wealthify with the brief to reach out to the financial services industry and get some strategic relationships, so like the one that we've got with SimplyBiz, and then through that create a solution. The first thing, Zed, I guess, is getting over from a lot of advisors that we're a threat. Robo advice versus real advice. We're a threat. Don't talk to them. Well, once they get over that and realize that we're not, and we actually complement what they do, that's when the magic really happens. And that's what we've been seeing with the number of firms coming through to us via SimplyBiz. And then when they get on board, it's just a handoff. No compliance, no admin. They get a co-branded landing page, so their prospect knows that they've been introduced to us via that particular firm. We put them into a non-advised solution. For the advisor, it means that they no longer have to turn people away that they would have done, or even worse, run that client unprofitably. And you
Hmm.
get a lot of that. I can talk a lot about use cases, but probably the biggest one is when you have introducer agreements, or really good clients. And let's say I'm a really good client and I go, Zed, can you look after my brother, friend? He comes along, and he just wants to start a pension with like £200 a month in. The advisor's in a really difficult position, because if they say no, I'm
Mm.
unhappy, the prospect's
Yeah.
unhappy. If they say yes, they're unhappy because they're running it unprofitably. Well, now with Wealthify, they can just drop that into us. We'll look after that client for them. And when the client gets to whatever level is profitable for that firm, and it varies based on infrastructure and a number of other things, Wealthify doesn't stop the advisor taking that client back. That's what we're there for. We're nurturing and building a prospect pool, if you like, of clients that have an AUM that then is justifiable for advice.
Okay. And you say co-branded portal. Is this something that advisors can build on their website, or is this do you offer something bespoke for the advisors, like
Uh,
a specific link or something?
a bit of both, actually. So you get a unique tracking link, and also then you can add that to your website so that you've got a landing page on the advisor website. So again, SimplyBiz of a provider, what are they called? You've got one of your
Uh,
marketing and
oh, my
website
the
providers.
yeah, yeah, the marketing, I think. Yeah.
So they have a number of different types of flavors of websites that an advisor can choose, and we have digital services within that. If you've got an arrangement with Wealthify, then you pop us onto that place on the website, and you also have this unique tracking link that you can send out to the client. So for I say client, they're still a prospect at this stage, but effectively you can say, go to the website. We've got a relationship with Wealthify. They're one of many online investment solutions, or you can send them the link direct. Both of those routes then come to a landing page, which then has the financial firm saying, introduced by
Yeah.
XYZ Financial.
Okay. Um, we've talked about at the start of the call about consumer duty. Um, how can Wealthify, specifically help with consumer duty? Obviously, firms have a lot to do with this by the implementation deadline date, which is July. How can Wealthify help with that process?
We're effectively a really clean handoff. So, and you and I said that, consumer duty is just presenting a huge challenge, isn't it, in the short
Mm.
term for a lot of firms. And it's, moving away from rule-based processes to focus on outcomes. And ultimately, when a client comes in, it's about, are they suitable for advice with the level of investment they've got, or the complexity of what their solution is. And if somebody's coming in and they want an ISA, JISA, want to start a pension, you can't justify, setup fees and ongoing fees for that. So you can
Mm.
direct them to Wealthify. We'll take them. They go through our process. They get an account. They then have their product available. They've got app access. They've got web browser access. get lots of comms from us, and they're on the journey. So for the firm, they've given, outcomes based is that particular client is most suitable for a non-advised solution. And what they've done is they've given them a non-advised solution, but still getting oversight of that. Because, we produce a monthly report on the amount of AUM that sits with each firm. So they get an oversight of that. They get an oversight of how many people have come onto the link, how many have then qualified, to use our services, and how many then go on to invest. So they're getting that. So it comes back to that point where we're effectively building them a pipeline of prospects for the future. And when these people get to that minimum AUM that the firm decided is profitable for them, they take them back. And that's how we work. So there's no paperwork. That's the beauty about it, is no compliance, no admin. Pass them on to us. We'll do everything. We set them up. We don't stop. Again, for the advice firm, these are still their prospects. So provided, again, they've got GDPR opt-in and stuff, send them the newsletter, send them birthday cards, Christmas cards, whatever the firm would do for its customers. We don't stop them doing the same on these prospects, if you like, provided they, it's up to them to have the right GDPR permissions, but they're keeping them going whilst we're looking after their initial sort of entry level investment needs. Does that make sense? Does that?
Yeah, no, it does. I think obviously from a consumer duty angle, if I'm an advisor and I'm looking at a consumer duty angle, you're helping me with that lower end client where obviously the big focus is of fair value as part of your charging structure. And if a firm identifies someone is not getting fair value because the AUM size is considerably low, compare that to the initial charge of their proposition. And that, I'm guessing, that's where you guys will come to play, offering that solution there, the lower end clients, is definitely going to tick the tick box from a consumer duty angle.
Absolutely. And again, as firms have been going through this exercise, some firms, I guess, their larger clients have been subsidizing their smaller clients. And then, when you bring the larger clients into line with what is fair value, if that's reducing your income, your profitability, potentially then that creates resource issues because you haven't got enough people to service the lower end. But rather than just get rid of them, move them over to Wealthify. And they're still effectively, they're part of your firm at arm's length in a non-advised solution.
Yeah.
And so, you sort of get the best of both worlds, I think. And again, with I guess resource issue in every sector, there's the big resignation, people are struggling to recruit, there's capacity issues. So it's about the firm understanding, what a profitable customer looks like to them. And then anything below that, give it to Wealthify, we'll manage it on your behalf. And you haven't lost sight of them. You can still bring them back and, again, sell mortgages, because we're talking investments now, but mortgages, protection. If that client calls into us because they've had a wealth event, inheritance, or they've sold something, we would say, oh, you need to go back to XYZ because that's the firm that advised you, or that's the firm that, you've come under into us. We don't give advice, go back to them. So you've got that closed loop. So it really helps firms to maintain a larger capacity, move on the less profitable clients, and also take on new clients, but put them in a non-advised solution so they're there for the future.
No, definitely sounds like a very compelling proposition. I'm sure advisors will have interest in it. Obviously, consumer duty applies to everyone, product providers, yourself, advice firms. How are you guys dealing with consumer duty?
Well, and again, not surprisingly, it's just as difficult for us. So we're going through quite, we've got a compliance team and they're going through all the work around what's required. I think the April deadline is for manufacturers like us to share our information with distributors. But that it doesn't overly apply to us. That's the general headline, but as we're a network of introducers, we don't have anyone as a distributor, based on how the FCA designed. So we're going through the process ourselves. I think that we're in a good place in that, our fees are competitive, accessibility is competitive. People can start investing from £1. And for an advice firm, I can just pass on to us, give it to us and we'll take care of that client's needs, delivering the right outcome. it's self-serve, it's non-advised, so it puts it in a much safer place.
Okay, definitely. Um, Before we get onto the Z index, which is the most interesting part of the call, hopefully, it's where we have a bit of fun. If advisors want to find out more about the proposition, what's the next step for them? How do they make contact?
But yeah, easiest thing is drop an email into me. So it's bhupinder.sidhu@wealthify.com. There's also a partnerships email address. So partnerships@wealthify.com. So that's really the two easiest routes is drop an email into me. And what I tend to do then is set up a call, 20 minutes. I'll do a demo so they can see how the system works. Again, with the SimplyBiz deal, there's no setup charges. I say that I was saying tongue in cheek, I got 100% conversion rate. If I had anything less, Zed, then I shouldn't be in the job because ultimately there's no charge. For a firm, there's absolutely no charge to set this up.
Yep.
So you might as well have it set up. And then what I say to all the firms that we work with is get your advisors to open their own account, open an account, go through the customer journey, see how it all works. Then you're making a much more informed decision than, a sales guy like me trying to tell you, yeah, it's great. See it from the inside, make your own decision. If at that point it's not for you, then you don't use the link, don't put it on your website, you haven't lost anything. But everybody realizes actually this has got real value and purpose in my sales process. And ultimately it will help me grow my business. So then people just start, using us. And what I found is once we get the first client in, then the second, then the third, and it starts to become more and more sort of habit, BAU, then they start doing more. But my advice is have a call with me. You're losing nothing, doesn't cost you anything to set up. Have a look on the inside, make an informed decision, and you will use it because it's a great solution.
No, thank you for that. It's been very informative so far. Thank you, Sid.